20 days to the Pro-Am at Mount Juliet, and the pursuit to train like a tour pro is in full swing. I am back at Heswell Golf Club with head professional Tom Atkinson, and like you, I miss greens in regulation, and I want to look at whether I have some room to improve my chances of making up and down, or at least a chance, and become more consistent. And today I learn a whole new approach to my short game. And once again, thank you to Primeport for sponsoring this series. Right, welcome back to another episode. I'm back at Heswell Golf Club. Tom, nice to see you again.
And you, Andy?
We've got a next issue for you to sort.
You've cracked the last one, have you?
Oh, that's sorted, yeah, don't worry, we've moved on. We've only got 20 days now, and the next problem is I'm pitching, sort of, you know, I missed the green.
Yeah.
Golfers do.
Yeah.
And then how do I make sure I sort of get that ball close and try and save par or whatever it may be? So, I don't know, from 30, 50 yards in.
Yeah, pitching, I define that as a pitch, definitely, from that yardage, yeah.
So it's just getting me sort of a more consistent approach again, and something I can sort of rely on, grab a club and comfortably execute a shot is the plan.
Let's do it.
You can sort that, can't you?
Yeah, we'll try.
Right, Tom, a typical probably situation I'd find myself in, really. 30, what do you say,
35 yards, yeah.
To the flag.
Yep.
Pull the ball left, tendency of mind.
Yeah.
And just that kind of, you know, having something that like a go-to shot, if there is such a thing, if it's always the same. I know it'll be, depending on what green you've got to work with, all those kind of things.
What lie you've got,
yeah, so a number of things to consider.
Yeah.
But again, a bit of help really.
So first thing to do is look at the lie, look at the flag, decide whether you're short-sided. There's two elements really to pitching. We're going to class this as a pitch.
Okay.
For me, a pitch is a sort of a longer chip. Rather than a shorter full shot, think of it as a longer chip. So it's going to use the same sort of mechanics as a chip, keeping everything nice and stable. We talked about that when we did some pitching.
Yeah.
Some wedges, sorry, this is the pitching now. Trying to get the controlled strike, trying to get the distance right. So it's, as I say, it's more of a sort of control the distance rather than create the distance.
Yeah.
Draw the good lie in this situation, so you know we're all right. We can probably be a little bit greedier with this lie, but that's the thing. So you're going to look at either the mechanics of the shot, and or the shot selection when you come to have a lesson on a shot like this. So most people will probably pick something with a lot of loft and try and hit it high and get it to stop. And you know, quite often that's what you need to do to get it close to the flag.
Okay.
But do you need to get it that close to the flag at the risk of knocking it in a bunker or thinning it over the back? And that's the sort of situation we've got to try and sort of understand. So if we were here now, as we are on the golf course, and you know you're under a little bit of pressure and you had to get your ball up and down, or you're trying to get it up and down, what would you naturally try and do?
Okay, well, I think similar for me when we started off the kind of the wedge full wedge thing, I only carry a pitching wedge and a 54. They're the two wedges I carry.
Yeah.
And I try and be versatile with the 54. So I would be playing a 54.
Okay.
Now we might change that, but effectively that's what I would play, but probably in a number of different ways.
What bounces on your 54?
10.
10 degrees about. I like the way you've got your yardages on your shaft. They're very good there. That's fine. Absolutely right. Yeah. So let's just see you play it.
Okay.
Watch you first. It's a short-sided shot, but you've missed the green.
Yeah.
So you could putt from there, but you're likely to have to chip again. Now, you don't see many of the top players chipping twice on the same hole. So there's a mistake in there somewhere. A bit embarrassing for them. So a mistake in there somewhere. Is it a mistake in the shot selection, the club selection, or is it something you've done with the technique?
Yeah.
How did you feel you struck that?
Okay, I think it was a case of, you know, overcooked it.
Overcooked it.
But I was happy with kind of like the contact.
You committed to it, What I like about what you've shown me there is you've used the bounce of the club very well. Yeah. I don't know how much you understand about the bounce of the club. Obviously, we've got the loft at 54, the bounce at 10. You've bruised the turf. We did talk about bruising the turf on the wedges, but you've bruised the turf. You've just either hit it too hard, which is not a bad thing to do if you're trying to commit to it, or you've picked the wrong loft. You're more used to your 54 and you like to manipulate the face around a little bit, and I never want to take somebody away from what they're good at. Having said that, you've employed me to do this because you feel like you're not as good as you could be. So was it the wrong shot selection? Did you need to go straight for the flag from here? What do you think about that with it being short-sided?
I think on the idea we didn't have a lot of green to work with, I would have probably rather played the shot longer than short, and not as long as it ended up being.
Yep.
But that was my mindset with the swing. Was kind of, you know, let's be aggressive, so to speak, with this. Yeah. Don't kind of like quit on it.
Because you don't want to be short again or in the bunker. Yeah. So
but I think it's leaning towards, I don't know whether we're going, but I have it in hindsight now, it's kind of like 58, which is the other wedge.
It is. So for me, it's there's a little bit of a compromise. If you're not so used to the 58, we've not done a great deal of work with it, then the 54 is right. But then you've got to think, right, well, let's ignore the flag.
Yeah.
And people think, hang on a minute. So I played a Pro-Am here a few years ago. Right. Said to my playing partners, after only 3 holes, I said, lads, I said, the flag just tells you where the hole is. You don't have to go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you mean?
Yeah.
So amateur golfers tend to play directly to the flag.
Yeah.
You watch Molinari when he won the Open, I think it was 2018. He was a masterclass in firing away from the flag and trying to hole the putt.
Yeah.
Okay, so not obviously, but statistically, if you're inside 8 feet on the green as a PGA Tour pro, you're only holding 49% of your putts.
Yeah.
So for us, we're not PGA Tour pros. It's going to be higher.
Yeah.
So, or you're not going to hold as many. So play the 54, but aim for a fatter part of the green.
Yeah.
The next thing you want to be doing after this shot is putting.
Yeah.
Or play the same shot, but go with your 58.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of compromise, a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, you're more than good enough to put a bit more loft in your hand.
Yeah.
Loft, generally speaking, around the green is like an emergency item.
Yeah.
So hit the ball up in the air
from
A to B via C
is
not necessarily all of the time. Not necessary all of the time. Here, if you want to get it close, I would go to more loft. So I actually feel like your chipping, pitching stroke there was good.
Yeah.
Do the same again with your...
Should I try with the 58?
I would.
Where were we?
Look how you've drawn a nice lie again there, Andy.
I got lucky there.
Yeah, very good.
Right, so 58, same shot.
Just before you hit it, do you feel more confident, less confident looking down on the 58?
I just let less because I always think with the 58 is the tendency for me, or anything from 58 60s is just, whilst I like it in a bunker because I feel like it's going to do that, it's a negative impact on my brain now, which is just saying it's going to do that.
You're not going to reach the green.
And I'm just thinking, so it'd be an adjustment for me in terms of, you know, sort of swing length and whatever else.
There's that little tendency to pull it slightly, but
that was a better result, wasn't it?
A better result in as much as you're putting.
Prime Putt make the very best putting mats that are the closest to reality in a surface that resembles tour grade turf. This is as realistic as it gets, and with speeds that measure between 9 and 11 on the stimp, you can be assured that your putting practice can make a huge difference when stepping out onto the golf course and into reality. This is practice that really will help lower your scores. Thank you to Prime Putt for their support on this journey. Please find out more on the link in the description.
So you see how it's shutting the face down a little bit, caught it a bit heavy.
Yes.
It sent it a little bit left and a little bit long, but you're still on the green. That's purely because you've picked up 4 degrees more loft. The bounce of the club I didn't check, but it's a little bit a 7. So lower, it's a sort of, it's a mid bounce club.
Yeah.
Took a little bit more of a divot. Now I don't mind that divot if the result is good. If you start to take too much of a divot, if the ball's too far back in your stance, your shaft's leaning too far forward, then you're going to really struggle if you don't commit to it. Okay, but generally speaking, that was a better shot. I would like to see, put it down again, I'd actually like to see you bring the club a little bit inside on the way back. What that's going to do, that's going to give you that sort of draw spin type of situation. I'd like to see the ball a little bit further forward, Andy.
Forward?
Yeah. In your stance. So what that will do, it will lean the shaft away from the target. It will give you a little bit more of the loft. It will put the bounce more into play at the time you impact it. And I'd like you, as you do in there, and again, no, I wouldn't worry about that, because if you start trying to change what you naturally do in the backswing, you're going to really, really struggle consistently to actually commit to pulling the trigger. So I've just detailed that there to say that you do swing it a bit inside, because I wouldn't want someone to say...
don't go away from it.
No, wouldn't want someone to say to you, you can't do that. Ball further forward. So all you want to try and do here is just keep the club face as stable as you can through the hit, using your big muscle groups to rotate. Now there's that one that you're fearful of.
Yeah.
So what you've done there is you've left the blade a little bit open.
Okay.
You didn't commit to it as well.
Yeah.
You sort of didn't quite chunk it, but you definitely bottled out of it. Yeah. Can we throw another ball down and have another go?
Yeah, I've got one here.
You got one?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if you're getting a reasonably good contact, then you're going to hit it a bit firmer with a lofty club like this. It's just going to rise up the face more, go higher and stop quicker. So you can commit to it, Andy. More like it. Now, that's good. That's inside 8 feet. It's around about there. So you've got, statistically more chance of holding that.
Yeah.
Did you hear the noise?
Yeah.
It sounded a bit heavy.
Oh, did it? I liked it.
But no, the noise, it sounded heavy. That's the bounce of the club interacting with the ground.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So as we move closer to the green shortly and we get into the real chip shots, you're going to hear me say that, if I'm teaching you or if I'm out playing in front of the members on that balcony and I'm 18 and I need to hit a chip shot, they'll turn around. Well, this will be good. We'll watch Tom.
Yeah.
If I get it wrong, I look stupid. Okay. All I'm asking myself to do, once I've set myself up properly and I've understood the bounce of the club, is hit the ground.
Yeah.
Taught my dad's a member, I taught him to hit the ground before the ball. Counterintuitive. What are you talking about? The bounce. So you interacted. Get one more ball out. You interacted there with the ground. The bounce helped you. So as long as you're not too far back in your stance and you're digging at it, I want to see, really in this sort of range of shot, 35 yards, you can probably, with that amount of bounce, pick a spot 1/4 of an inch in front of the ball and hit it. Let the bounce work. Okay, so pick 1/4 of an inch, hit the ground. Beautiful. Took a little bit of a divot. Good shot.
Yeah.
This ball is never over this power going to send itself up in the air and stop on a sixpence. There's always going to be a little bit of release, certainly as the ground gets firmer.
Yeah.
But once again, we haven't really changed your technique.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you'd like a sort of a go-to.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it, at this level, which is a good level, but for you to go and enjoy it and not sort of make a fool of yourself out in a pro and whatever. Pick up the right loft.
Yeah.
You can do the same again if you want with your pitching wedge. You're just going to come off lower and roll more, but have like one swing.
Yeah.
All this manipulation of
which is what I'm doing with the 54.
It's good.
Overcomplicating it.
It is. You don't need to do that. That's why you should be carrying all your wedges and certainly using them. But there's no need to start messing with the loft and the bounce and the shaft lean when you've got a purpose-built
to do it, make
item
it work.
for you. Yeah. So that's how I would ask you to play this short-sided pitch.
Right, okay, Tom, so you set us up in another little position, little bit of fringe.
Yes.
You want to know what I'd play?
I do, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I know we're having a lesson here, we've got a couple of balls, but if you're on the golf course now, what are you going to play?
54.
54. Play it.
Yeah, so this would be my kind of, as I said, go-to. Oh, that stopped quick, didn't it? But effectively, that would be my shot in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and do you feel as though you get it close enough? Generally.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind this kind of position.
Okay, good.
I kind of like that shot, which I would still consider to be a bit of a chip and run. So I keep the ball fairly low in most of these kind of scenarios.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's the sort of first thing I'd ask somebody. What type of shot do you need to play? And a lot of people. If I said to you, just bring your chipping clubs down to today's lesson.
Yeah.
What would you bring? And you quite often I hear, lob wedge, sand wedge, pitching wedge, 8-iron.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they look at me and I say, what do you think I'd bring for my chipping lesson? I don't know. I said, bring everything.
Yeah.
I'd start with the putter. If I could put it, I'd put it.
Yeah.
Because the ball on the ground's the most controllable ball.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that.
And this type of distance, this is slightly different because we've got, quite a lot of, there's a little bit of a rise, quite a lot of fringe grass, but essentially that's the length of like a 10-pin bowling alley.
Yeah.
And if I went 10-pin bowling and did it like this,
yeah,
people would think I was daft.
Yeah.
But because we're playing golf, and the word chip, pitch, and everyone thinks you've got to use loft.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I've already mentioned previously too that loft is an emergency item. So what would I use here? Yeah, I would use something similar. I wouldn't use it because I need to get over an obstacle potentially. Like if we were stood behind this bunker here, I can get over it with a rescue club.
Yeah.
But it'd end up by the clubhouse. Yeah. So it's all to do with how quickly I want the golf ball to stop.
Okay.
What's happened there is you've got a real good strike on that. You've probably hit that for that club too soft. Yeah. But with a really good strike, and it spun up a little bit. Yeah. So are you brave enough to hit the same shot and fire it closer to the flag?
Okay.
You'll see that with the real clever people, and it starts to spin up quickly. Or would you think with still plenty of loft in a pitching wedge or a 50, and we're going to get that little bit of extra release out of it.
Yeah.
Again, big sort of advocate of using the bounce of the club. You know, it's there. You've got to use it.
Yeah.
So let's just play the same sort of shot, but just pick your 50. I'm going to come around and watch you from the front here, Andy.
Okay.
Main reason why you need to have a little bit of a front look at this is for ball position.
Yep.
If you were not hitting this shot well, would you feel as though you fatted it or thinned it?
If I get it wrong.
If you get it wrong, would you fat it or thin it?
Yeah, it's a good question, that, because I think I can do both, to be quite honest with you. But I would say more likely on.
You've got to have all the shots to be a good golfer.
You have. Yeah, but I can do both quite well. I suppose fat it is a kind of chunky.
I'd have put my money on chunky.
I'd leave it here.
I'm going to tell you, go on, play the shot. This is so with the 50 now. It's going to come off the face lower.
Yeah.
Which is what we've asked ourselves to do with the 50. It's going to roll a little bit more. Yeah, so you've got that one. Actually, wasn't as good a shot.
No.
The strike was.
But the loft was better. Choice of shot again.
The choice of shot was better. So you got it clear, rolled out more. You left it under the hole, which is probably not something you did on purpose.
No.
But that's helping you. So for me, can I jump in and show you?
Yeah.
So what you've got in your setup, and this is something that I've seen a lot. In fact, I see it far too often, and if I see somebody setting up like you've just done for a chipping lesson like this, I know that I'll be all right and they'll be all right. They'll have a good lesson because it's an easy sort of fix. So what you've got, come and stand in front there.
Yep.
You've got your ball slightly further back in your stance than I would like to see it.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what that does, that pretty much takes your 50 down to like a 46, maybe even less than that. So I don't mind the fact that you're taking loft off because we want the run. You're actually starting to eliminate the use of the bounce. Now, bounce is your friend.
Yeah.
Bounce is a forgiving piece of kit on the bottom of a wedge. And as you start to tilt that club forward and you've got your hands forward, ball back, see how you're sort of not employing the bounce. So now you're a skillful golfer, but you're asking yourself to be skillful to the tune of about 3 mil.
Yeah, I get that.
Whereas the bounce of the club, what's that? Nearly an inch wide.
Yeah.
Okay, and not even that. You can, like we did back in the wedge shot and a little bit in the pitching. If you've got the ball further forward, yes, it's going to come off the face a little bit higher because you're going to employ more loft with it being at the front. But you can be a little bit sloppier with your strike.
Okay.
Now you're not going to try and be sloppy per se, but you're going to be slopping around a golf because we all are. And if you've got a good score going or someone's watching you, you're going to be under a little bit of pressure. So if you put that ball slightly further forward in your stance, what you can allow yourself to do is to pick a spot before the ball, bruise the turf. You watch as I play this one, it's come off a little bit higher than yours, bruise the turf. I've over pitched that, but I've got it pretty close to the flag. Do you hear the noise?
Yeah, it's a very good shot.
And if you're, thanks very much.
Yeah, very good. You nearly hold it to be fair.
Nearly hold it. If you're a chunker, you can't take the ground.
Eliminates,
It eliminates, strong word eliminates, but you're sort of going to be a lot more confident with the chance of not chunking. So all I will have done there, I've not changed, I won't be changing your technique, okay? I've slightly altered your loft into a 50, but I'm going to put the ball further forward in your stance, and I'm going to ask you,
excuse me,
counterintuitively or not, to hit the floor first.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? It's again kind of a mindset situation. It feels to me like when you've done what you just did, it feels like to me I'm presenting the blade, and it's the complete opposite, really, is what you're saying, aren't you?
Absolutely right. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I forgot to say it to you last time, but I've heard a few times you say, I think if I do that, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're reacting to something in the future.
Yeah.
When I went to watch the lads on tour in Dubai years and years ago, one thing that I noticed, and we've used that word commitment before, is that if they've got to hit a golf ball, they're hitting the golf ball. They're not thinking of the consequence of not hitting it. They're going to pull the trigger, Andy. Okay, so, and if you've not practiced it, fair enough, you might think, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but we're here to practice it. So ball further forward.
Just on that now, where I'm at, is that correct in interpreting what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, correct is a strong word in golf because we all do it differently. But if I'm asking you to stick it further forward,
you'd be happy with that.
I'd be happy with that. All I want to see is that you've got less forward shaft lean and therefore more bounce. Okay, so pick your target, 1/4 of an inch before the ball, bruise the turf. Yeah, don't be scared of hitting the floor. Beautiful. Okay, took a bit of a bad bounce, not your fault, but you see how you had the control on the strike?
Yeah.
The ball still obviously took off high enough with it being a 50. Yeah. That's another worry. If people put less loft in the hand, they feel like it's never going to get off the floor.
Yeah.
50 degrees is a lot of loft. You could even go down to a pitching wedge for this shot, you probably got to be a little bit tighter with where you land it with a pitching wedge.
Yeah.
Go again.
Yeah.
But the key there was that the strike,
so further forward,
less shaft lean, using the bounce, ball will pop up a little bit, but the strike was ball and turf together. It was use of the bounce.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice little, see a little bit of friction, a little bit of grab on it.
Yeah.
So now we're in sort of 2 foot range.
The chances,
should be tapping them in.
Yeah.
That will vary depending on where the flag is.
Yeah.
Depending on what lie you've got. So if
Yeah.
you've got a little bit of a bare lie, you might want to just tip a little bit of more shaft lean in just to make sure that you don't actually bounce it.
Okay.
If you're in a bit of a fluffier lie, you know, a bit more of a semi-rough type lie, maybe a bit more loft, but hopefully ball forward, one technique, 2 or 3 different wedges now, not just your 54.
That's the question I was going to ask. So if I use any of those 3 wedges or a pitching wedge, setup is the same.
Yeah. You got another ball?
Yeah. Yeah. Try another club, you mean?
Try another club. We'll play to the back of the green.
What should I try?
Try your pitching wedge. You know, 9-iron. So let's just play, you know, not to the flag because that flag is a bit too short-sided for a wedge. Let's just play to the middle of the green in the direction of the clubhouse there.
Okay.
But yes, you've got bounce on a pitching wedge. You've got less bounce than on your lofty wedges. So you have to be a little bit closer to the ball when you're hitting the ground. Let's say 1/8 of an inch type of stuff. Not that you can measure it, but go with it. Let me just check your lean. Yeah, you'll be prone to leaning on the shaft too much, but as long as it's in your mindset, okay, take the ground. Good. So see, it still goes high.
Yeah.
It'll go higher than you're used to because you're used to de-lofting it.
That went as high as me 54 when I de-lofted, didn't it, at the beginning?
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're doing, you know, in manipulating lofts and bounces and face angles and stuff, you're making. You know, you're changing your 54 into a 50 or a 46, and you're altering the bounce. You're making it harder for yourself.
Yeah.
Get a sort of standard set of rules.
Yeah.
And just vary your loft all the way
Even
through.
ball position, like I said, I play like I said, virtually all them shots with the ball middle to back, probably nearer the back, like you say. Eliminating that bounce, which is the help.
The bounce is there for a reason, and you know, you'll turn the TV on and you'll watch the best players in the world. They can do whatever they want. These are the most skillful people you'll ever see. They can put it in the back of the stance and spin it. They can put it high and Mickelson flop it. But for a bog standard, keep it simple and use the club properly. Yeah.
Loved it, Tom. Genuinely loved it. I mean, it's been a couple of lessons in, and I mean, these are. I don't know if I'm being more disrespectful to it by saying this. These are basic things, aren't they? That I've been playing the game for 35 years, and you think, my God, why aren't I doing this? You know,
you've never had a lesson.
Yeah.
You don't know, do you?
No.
And you do what you used to.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant.
You revert back to type, but no, you've hit what you hit there, sort of 8-10 shots, and the beauty there for me is you've not. I don't like divots in chipping and pitching. Yeah. You've not taken too many divots. But you've hit good shots. Yeah. You've not thinned all the balls, so you've not thinned any of them. So you're interacting properly with the turf, and that's not going to compromise strike. And you've got to strike it well to get your distance control.
Yeah. Well, I think the kind of mechanics of it has been okay.
Yeah,
as I say, just adjusting ball position, and more importantly, maybe for me, that shaft lean and using the bounce a little bit more.
So ball position will almost sort of predetermine your shaft lean, or your lack of shaft lean, if you like. So you're right, and then it's all about you as a golfer, which we'll do on the golf course, picking the right shot.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks again, and I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, and also learning like I am, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot you can take from this and the other lessons that I've been having. There's every likelihood these are kind of common situations that you might be able to resonate with yourself. So we're now, I think it's 20 days to go. I'm got a heck of a lot more practice to get in a very short space of time. I'll see you in 2 days from now, and we'll have another episode of me training like a tour pro. But for now, Tom, thank you very much, and I'll see you in a few days' time.
Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, bud.
Well done.